So Greta said she wanted a big disco number that was going to speak for Barbie's best day ever. So I had an idea that it was going to be something up-tempo, but that was really it. And, you know, after 3 days, I tried a couple of different ideas, and I didn't think I had anything that was perfect yet. And then they were like, well, can you just send us anything? I was like, what do you mean anything? Well, I don't know, just like a click track. So I finally actually got a track that I really felt good about, and I sent it in. And that was the instrumental, the very raw version of what became Dance the Night.
Watch me dance the night away. I was on tour last year, quite relentlessly for a whole year. And I just got a DM on Instagram from Mark. He basically just reached out and was like, I'm working on this film with Greta. There's this big dance number and I would love you to write it with me. I was so intrigued at what Barbie was going to be. What was it about? The next opening of dates that I had, I flew to New York. We were also saying, we were like, oh, maybe we'll work a little bit on my album and then a little bit on Barbie. But Barbie just completely took over our life. We were completely Barbified. There was Barbie dolls everywhere here. We were just putting Post-it notes everywhere, trying to brainstorm what Dance the Night was going to be. We worked on melodies for a while. We had a little SM7 in the room. He'd already made the track that the cast were all rehearsing to. It's kind of interesting because usually when I work on something and I work on it from scratch, there's so much leeway to change bits, but we had to obviously stick pretty tight to what the score already was. So it was just a really fun jigsaw.
When you start a song, what are you doing? You're just going to a keyboard or a guitar, or sometimes to pick up the bass, and it's the umpteenth millionth time I've ever tried to do this. How am I going to find 4 chords today that just feel like something I haven't done before? And sometimes you don't need brand new chords. Maybe you need a exciting production element. But Greta had referenced the Bee Gees a lot. We think of the songs as kind of upbeat, fluffy disco, but a lot of the chords and the beats and the rhythms, especially on Staying Alive era, it's really tough. So I was sitting at that Rhodes right there, and I came up with this chord progression. They're just kind of a little almost sinister and stuff, and actually that's what I love about a lot of Dua's music as well. The chords are, even though there's a disco element to it, the chords are kind of dark and moody. So with those chords, and then I came up with this string line. The chords and these French producers that I work quite a bit with, the Picard brothers, they take old samples, and then whatever I played in the chords, they just change the samples to fix what I've done. So by taking this weird string sample that they had, they made this weird wow, wow, that you hear it. So I had the melody, but under it there's this sort of murky chord movement happening that then we had the real strings play live. So it really started with those things, and then like most of my productions, the next important thing was to have a bass line. So on top of those chords you had then when we really went in, and at this point we had a pretty good idea of the footage, and we had it, and we fired up the TV screen here, and Dua was on the couch and she just started freestyling lyrics as Margot was dancing. And the part when I was like, oh, this, I got chills, and I was like, this is really going somewhere, was when Margot does that thing and Dua was like, oh, I want to sing Come Along for the Ride right there.
So we were watching it, and then I just felt really compelled to be able to have the lyrics really merge with the dancing and what was happening in the scene as well. So we really fine-tuned it every little moment. It's also a moment where it goes, turn the music up, and they're putting their hands up, and it's just little bits like that, little details that I think made such a big difference in, I think, when people saw the film, because Dance the Night came out before Barbie, so it was kind of the first taste of what's to come. So it was a little bit of the story, the kind of happy, glitzy disco element that Greta really wanted. Okay, so what is Barbie about, and what is the story going to be, and why is she saying this? And when people watched the film, then it all kind of matched up together. It was very interesting to see people's reaction to both hearing the song on its own to watching it then with the film.
Everything is played pretty live except for the drums, which I programmed and also did with the Picard brothers. So I mean, some of the percussion is live. That's the other thing that's kind of hidden in there as well. There's an acoustic guitar that's not the first thing you think of when you think of disco music, but there was just something about the strumming in it that just kind of kept it moving.
But it's so layered underneath that it gives that really like beefy sound underneath with the bass and the guitar. It's all just like little sprinkles that make it.
But there's definitely some weird things in here too, like this little turnaround that's like the part just before the chorus. So that's like 3 bars and then a bar of 2, which is just like half a bar, which is a very unusual sort of structure for pop, but it just like felt good, so we just tried to work around it. Yeah, so this is the lead.
Baby, you can find me under the lights, diamonds under my eyes. Turn the rhythm up, don't you wanna just come along for the ride?
And then Dua laid all these backgrounds under it that are sort of like whisper vocals, right?
Baby, you can find me under the lights, diamonds under my eyes. Turn the rhythm up, don't you wanna just come along for the ride? Oh, my outfit's so tight, you can see my heartbeat tonight. I can take the heat, baby, best believe that's the moment I shine.
It's Barbie's inner thoughts. It's trying to show a brave face while there's some inner turmoil happening and like kind of getting a little bit confused about this kind of duality that's happening within her that was so unnatural for her at the time. To the human experience, it's the most natural thing. It's kind of like being able to move forward and progress in life even when things aren't going your way, or that kind of optimism that you have to keep going with even when things aren't going right, basically.
I think the thing that I really, really love is that weird murky string chord that's happening that almost feels like shifting plates. So it's this thing that was created weirdly from a sample that then we had the orchestra actually play live. So the kind of violas are going one way and the violins are going the other. And that just with the vocal even is like quite exciting to me.
Dance, dance the night away. I'll still keep the party running. I want her out of place.
Far be it from me to say, but that's sort of the sign of like a good song and a vocal when you just can literally listen to just the strings and the lead. And I find it quite harmonically rich and actually fulfilling like that.
I could dance, I could dance, I could dance. Watch me.
The bridges actually was just a moment to step it down a little bit because there was just so much going on through the rest of the song. I think you just wrote it just to the drum. There were no chords.
Really, really simple.
I'll still keep the party going, not one hair out of place.
I'm such a fan of like talky, chanty moments in songs. Like I love when things have variety and they go up and down and it gives you a different emotion and a different feeling, and it takes you away from like something that's so pop and big, and then it brings you down for a second and it gives you just a different groove, a different way to dance to it. I feel like I love all that variation so much. So, and I love also the ad-libs through the chanty bit.
Even when the tears are flowing, they're diamonds on my face. I'll still keep the party going, not one hair out of place.
And then the vocals is like a mixture of you and I think Caroline, and it has such like, I'm an old guy so all my references are kind of old, but it just reminds me of like the Jacksons, just if we just solo it for a minute.
When my heart breaks, never see it, never see it. When my world shakes, I feel alive, I feel alive.
It's a freestyle in the moment of like you hear something and you're like, all right, you know you're about to crescendo into another big part of the chorus. So it's like, how do we lead into that? What are the little bits that you add into it to join it all together to make it all that more special? It just gives everything like texture.
And also, I think that one you really just came out with live when you were finally in the booth recording. I remember having a really sweet conversation with Greta too, because it was like the weekend the song came out. It was like all over Z100 and all the radio stations that we all grew up listening to. She was like, I got so excited, but then I got sad because we've been working on it for so long and now it's out. Does it mean like it's over or something? You know, it's all of these emotions, you know?
It's so cool, especially like when you work so hard on something and you put so much love and time and effort into trying to make something really special, and to see like your peers liking it and feeling like they want to vote for it, and you know, you get a nomination. It's the best feeling.